Interestingly, I have always had symptoms as a child. I just didn't realize it. I wasn't diagnosed until my daughter Audrey was diagnosed when she was about 2 years old. Her pediatrician noticed that she wasn't gaining enough weight, and that was actually an issue through my wife's pregnancy with Audrey as well. She wasn't gaining enough weight in the womb. So my wife was bedridden for the last month or so of the pregnancy because of that. And then once Audrey was born, we started tracking her weight and her growth, and she was always in the very low percentile of growth for pretty much everything that they monitored. And the pediatrician's daughter had a gluten intolerance and had similar issues, and so she just suggested that we take Audrey off of gluten, and it worked. She started gaining more weight and growing. And so the pediatrician said it's usually genetic, and one of you, meaning my wife or me, is probably gluten intolerant as well. And so she suggested that we cut out gluten. And it was more likely me because I had always had digestive issues as a child and a teenager and a young adult anyway. And so I cut out all forms of gluten that I could, and I started feeling really good. I felt great, much better than I ever had in years before. And then eventually, probably in 2008 maybe, I actually had a biopsy done and was confirmed that I had celiac disease.
I'm homeschooled, so it's kind of easy, but I used to go to first grade at Hillcrest, and I brought my own lunch, but I bought the milk. I just brought my own lunch. Usually I brought a sandwich and an apple. I really like macaroni and cheese, and my daddy just made some pumpkin bread, so I like that too.
I don't have any issues now. I think probably the biggest problem for me is shampoos, body washes, conditioners, because some of those have oats or vitamin C supplements that contain gluten, and I don't think as often to check facial products or body products. And so I will, like just a few weeks ago, I used some shampoo that had some vitamin C supplement in it that was made with gluten, and I had a rash break out on my face and on my shoulders and my back.
One time I went on a sleepover with my friend Maggie, and she let me borrow some of her face soap, and my eyes got real puffy.
Hy-Vee here is great, and they will order anything that you want as well. And then most of the restaurants in town actually have gluten-free varieties of foods too. Like the biggest thing that I missed when I cut out gluten was a sandwich, just a nice sandwich. So I think it's really just finding somebody that has been living with it and just has gone through the trial and error, unfortunately, of trying to figure it out. And then obviously talking to a doctor. I mean, I think I never really consulted with the doctor other than having the biopsy done, and then obviously getting an informational sheet about this is what, the traditional things you need to avoid. But for me, it was just trial and error. You kind of figure out which products work for you and which ones don't.